Welcome back to the Unplugged podcast with Amanda and Kristen. And today we have another amazing guest on our podcast, Amanda Lynn. She has been such an inspiration since I started in this space. And when we first started our podcast and said, we need to have guests on. Who should we have? And Amanda Lynn came to the top of our minds, both of us. We said, we have to get Amanda Lynn on. So, welcome, Amanda Lynn, and thank you so much for coming on. We would love to hear your story.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. I'm so honored that you guys even just saying I was at the top of your list. That floors me. So thank you so much for having me. So yeah, my journey is a little bit different, I feel like, than some other people. So I've been in the digital product space now for about 10 months. We're going close to 11 months. So getting close to that 1 year mark, which is amazing. Um, but my story started really last year in February. I lost my work from home job that I had. Wasn't a difficult job. I've worked in finance for the past decade before I got into like doing things for myself as a business. And I had a really big life event that I'm pretty open about. I've shared with people, shared it in my story. I had a daughter and she was born very early, and we did lose her when she was around 6 months old due to heart failure. That's something I'm super open with my audience about, but that kind of ties into how I lost my job last February, just because her 1 year, her first birthday was coming, and I basically just missed too much work. I kind of knew that it was coming. I don't really have any ill feelings towards the job that I lost. It was a really amazing company, and just procedures and things that they have to follow, which is kind of part of that whole
Mhm.
grind of, the differences of working for yourself and working for a company, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not really the people that wanted to let me go. It was just HR and the policies they had to follow. So I lost my job. I'm a single mom. I have two boys that are 6 and 8. And it was kind of a relief when it first happened, just because when I was working, so I had to go back to work like 3 weeks after her funeral,
Oh my God.
which I maybe sounds like a decent amount of time, but like when you're talking about
No.
losing a child, like that is just not. So like it felt like
Yeah.
maybe a day or two that I had off. And that's one of the biggest things that kind of hits you after going through, a loss or just something tragic in your life at all, is that bills don't stop. You have to
Yeah.
pay your rent, you have to pay your car payment, your electric, like you can't just pause life. Even when you lose a child, which is, crazy. But so I had to go back to work. And when I lost my job, I was able to actually kind of breathe, like even though I was kind of in panic mode, but I didn't realize how much I wasn't grieving.
Hmm.
And then also the part of that is, especially being a single parent, helping my boys grieve. Like the grief journey that they went through, I was not prepared for. And I try to be prepared for everything. And you can never be prepared for something like that. But a lot of my focus, even when I was trying to grieve myself, was being there for them, and helping them get through that. So it was a relief in the sense that I kind of had time to be like, oh, okay, here's these feelings I need to process. And without having the anxiety of a job and paying bills and stuff, like I could turn autopilot off and just really be with my family and get all of that out. Um, so anyways, there's that portion. So I bring that up to say that like I don't think I would have been in business if I didn't lose my job. It's very bittersweet.
Hmm.
It led me to where I am now. So I came across some groups on Facebook about digital marketing, really about like faceless digital marketing and like the trend of going faceless. And I was intrigued, joined the groups, was very confused, trying to figure out these abbreviations. Like, what are these courses? What is UBC?
Yeah.
What are people really doing? Like, what is going on in here? And I just kind of lurked for a couple weeks. Um, and then after I had some time to kind of grieve and stuff, I'm like, okay, I have to figure out what I'm doing because I don't want to lose our house. I don't want to lose our car. Um, and I started lurking in the groups. And then I finally made a post like, this is my situation. What are you guys doing? Like what is this? And I had hundreds of people reach out to me. Okay, as you guys know, when you see those posts where people swarm in,
I
but
know. I
out
feel
of
so
those,
sorry for those people. I'm like, oh, they have
yeah,
no idea what they just did.
Yeah, I know.
right. And out of those, like people, I had maybe 3 to 4 people who really heard me and they were trying to help me whether I bought something from them or not. And they explained what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
asked me questions. Like they just did things the right way.
Mm-hmm.
UBC was offered, and I was in a position where I couldn't afford it even on a payment plan. So a huge part of my story is when I started learning about digital products, I never purchased a large course because I couldn't. And
Mm-hmm.
now that is actually like a part of my branding is to help people, help women that were in my same shoes, that if they can't go and buy DWA or like a large course, to
Mhm.
find and present or make affordable options for people to learn
Mm-hmm.
and start
Yeah.
their journey. And so I did. My first thing I ever bought was this bundle of faceless marketing guides for like every social media platform out there. And I just learned for like a week. I was in college, took notes, learned, and I started on Instagram and TikTok, which is where every place told me to go.
Mhm.
Implement it. I had some growth. I actually made my first ever sale on Instagram with under 50 followers. So I very
Wow.
much emphasize following is not super important like people think it
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but then I did my first month in business review where I just kind of look at my analytics and see how things are working for me. And I realized, even though I wasn't focused really much on Facebook, that most of my leads and sales were coming from Facebook, from just casually being there.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
that's how the birth of me switching to Facebook happened. And ever since I switched to Facebook and learned what I did on there and made connections on there, it's blown up to where it is now. So flash forward, um, I do this full time. It's officially been a year since I lost my job. And the fact that I'm still here and I can say I sell digital products full time and have a community with over 200 people in there. I love what I do. And I'm so happy to be here. And the fact that this is my job, like that's pretty much how it started. And yeah, that's all I got right now, or I'm gonna keep rambling.
No, that's okay. So tell our audience, so for people that don't really know, when you talk about just marketing on Facebook, can
Mhm.
you give a little bit more insight to what that actually means?
Yeah. So when I was looking at my analytics and I'm like, okay, if most of my leads and stuff are coming from Facebook, so the people that are visiting my store, the people that are purchasing products from me, if most of them are showing from Facebook, what is going to happen if I decide to purely put all my energy into Facebook? So meaning I made a whole separate Facebook profile for business. Um, I didn't make a Facebook page because those can limit you in groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and joined groups and then got to a point where I was making my own groups. So I had a point and it just lost my brain. I'm sorry.
Which you are the
Um
group queen, my friend.
yeah, I mean I didn't make, so I made my new business profile, Amanda Lynn, in June of last year. And I don't think I made my first group until July or August, but since then it's kind of taken off. So really marketing on Facebook is just, similar to you having an Instagram or a TikTok, like your profile is your page. Like that's your
Right.
social media profile that you're using. But my focus is really groups, Facebook groups, ones that others have created. That's where you're going and you're posting about what you're learning, you're engaging with other people, and also where you present your offers. Because some people, they don't want to make their own groups. That's kind of intimidating for them. But when you're starting out on Facebook, it's really about learning how to find quality groups, where your audience is at, and that's where and what you're doing on Facebook to market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Go ahead, Kristen. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say, I know that you have created a Canva guide of the most, I don't know if it's like the most profitable, or you have groups that you should be in on Facebook.
Yeah.
How do you actually figure out that that's like if you don't own it, like if it's not yours, how
hmm
do you know if it's actually a group that you should be in?
Mhm.
That is a great and really, really important question, just because, like, I remember when I started, especially if you're not really like on Facebook a lot personally, and groups is kind of a new thing for you. Like, when you're going to look at marketing groups or business groups, like, there are so many things out there. Like, there's business promo groups for Orlando, Florida and Tennessee, and just there's so many random things where a lot of businesses for anything are just posting and posting and posting, and it's very spammy. And
Mhm.
a lot of people start out when they're looking to get into groups of like, how can I be seen any and everywhere at one time? And thinking that that visibility and that reach is going to help them. Like, oh, more views equal more sales. And like the biggest thing I've learned is being very intentional with where you are with your time, and being somewhere that's quality is so important. So I kind of have like a mental checklist. Like if I am searching for, let's say, a women's marketing group, I'll type it in the search bar. I'm usually trying to look for public groups so that you can go into the group and you're basically looking at the posts that are in there and seeing like what kind of engagement they have. Like,
Mhm.
are there people asking genuine questions, or are you scrolling through the group and it's just promo post after promo post, like ongoing forever?
Mhm.
And there's no engagement on any of them. Because you probably will, even in a quality group, see a lot of promo posts, but are they getting engagement? Are they getting
Mhm.
people asking questions? Is there more than just people selling stuff? And that's really ideally what you're looking for. One of the easiest ways that I try to look for quality is finding a post where somebody offers something for free and seeing if there's any engagement on it. And if you're seeing multiple like posts within the past week or the past month where someone's offering something for free and nobody is grabbing it, you do not want to join that group. And that can change. A group can be really good quality and then it can go downhill and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I might leave a group because I'm not seeing any traction on my post or seeing people ask questions and stuff, but I might come back to it 4 months later if I see it suggested and I go preview it and the quality is there. Like it can always change.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's super important. Those are really good things to look for. That's what I look for.
Hmm.
And I think when people start off too, you made a really great point. They just want to go and post and kind of miss out on that value
Yeah.
building relationship. And I know that's something that you stand behind big time and always teach your mentees that you really should be serving before selling, learning and then serving and absorbing everything before you even sell. So can you tell me a little bit about how you like were you did you sell right off the bat, or did you always post the value first? Did you learn a lesson along the way? How did you come up with
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
that?
So, I mean, when I started, and I guess we'll kind of go into like when I started, even on Facebook, like I did have the mentality that I want to be selling, right? And one of
Mhm.
the things I learned in that process was where your intention is coming from, if that makes sense. So, like, are we running a business and building a brand because we want to make money and make sales, which obviously we do, whether we say it or not?
Mhm.
Or are we coming from a place where we want those sales, but it's because we're genuinely helping somebody in their journey with something, and the purpose and the intent is actually really authentically there. And when you pivot that, instead of waking up and being like, oh, I need to make 5 sales today. Oh, I need to pay my electric bill. Like when you pivot it from that into, I'm going to help people and let the sales flow from that and it's authentic, that changes a lot. In the beginning, I definitely was more focused on trying to sell and learn that wasn't working. And it wasn't really that I was trying to sell higher ticket items or DBA when I bought DBA, or a bundle of guides that was expensive. I knew that I had to start with a trust process, kind of. Like I knew I needed to start with like a lead or a freebie and then go in with a low ticket item and then try to build up from that. But I hadn't made that connection yet that I really need to like show people what I'm doing and how it can benefit them
Mhm.
before I'm just throwing my offer out there. So there was kind of a learning curve with that. And I say that just to help people understand that like even those of us who are doing well right now, we don't know everything that we're teaching and talking about right off the bat. Like there is a learning curve to it.
Yeah.
I wasn't perfect in the beginning of my journey, and there's things that taught me what I do now in my journey. So I had a big focus on like, I think my first freebie I offered was like a Canva guide. And I did get leads and stuff from it because people do always want free stuff. But then when it wasn't converting, I'm like, okay, what's going wrong here? And it's the fact that I wasn't really sharing a lot of anything else outside of like my personal life of what I
Mhm.
was learning from things and how I was implementing
Mhm.
it.
Yeah, that's a
So
big one.
Do you think a lot of your direction and how you speak to people and how you start with value and the low ticket items, do you think a lot of that stemmed from the fact that when you basically are self-taught, right? I mean, I know you said
Hmm.
you bought a low ticket item.
Yeah.
Do you think that that has a lot to do with it?
Can you repeat that? I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. It's well, and my questioning probably was
No,
kind of confusing.
you're good.
Do you think the way that you approach your business and how you do try to add a lot of value has to do with the fact that when you started, you couldn't afford the big course? I
No,
air
okay, I get
quotes,
what you're
but
saying. I
yeah.
get what you're saying. I do think that has a lot to do with it because if if for example, if I started and I was, let's say I was able to buy UBC, which was the popular course at that time. If I started with that and I was taught from that without having to learn certain lessons on my own, I absolutely think that my approach in the beginning would have been different.
Mhm.
Um, I get what you're asking me. That's kind of hard to explain though. I definitely think it does. Because there's a relatability that I'm not just telling people, oh, I relate to you, or oh, I understand if you can't afford this course, or if it's a financial thing that is an obstacle for you. I lived it, that like that's how my journey started. And that's why it was so important for me to implement that into my branding now. Like my first tagline was marketing on a minimal budget.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it's because I like that was a part of my journey. And so when I speak to people about it or get people coming to me who are going through that same thing, I lived it and I can actually tell them how I overcame that and how I kept going anyways. Because there's so many people that I've seen, and this like truly this breaks my heart. There's so many people that I've seen who are told or they just believe that if they can't afford what someone's saying they have to have, that they can't start or that they'll fail. And so they
Mhm.
don't even try. And
Yeah.
so a big part of my journey was because I did have people like, oh, well, if you can't get UBC, like it's going to be very difficult. It's going to feel impossible. Like people do sell like that, which is very unfortunate. But I was like, no, I'm going to do it anyways. I know I can do it. And I had to work on the mindset. Mindset's huge and push through that. And now I can kind of guide people that have that belief on how they can do otherwise. But yeah, I
Yeah.
do think that it's definitely a part of how I approach people, just because I went through that in the beginning.
Mm. I love everything that you just said.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It brings up a lot
Right.
of like more further questions, right?
Yeah.
Because and Amanda, if you have a question that you want to ask, I don't want to ask the next question if
Oh
you have
no, go
something.
ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, I think that right. It's a sticky situation. We all know that we don't know what everybody is going through, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
We're not asking everybody to air their dirty lawn, but you are correct. There is this message, which I fell into that saying that message
Yep.
for a really long time,
Yep.
that
Hmm.
if you can't start with X, whatever the acronym is, UBC or DWA or anything like that, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
I do love that you said that you are living proof that
Hmm.
you don't
Exactly.
always have to start,
Right.
because a lot of the big things out there are a lot of fluff. They have a lot of
Hmm.
good information. I do believe that, if somebody can afford it, then that's where they should start, but
Yes.
it's not the only starting point.
Well, and
Right.
that's what I was going to say too, is there is kind of a twist to it because with
Mhm.
me having that message, it is a great message and it's a very important message that if you just can't even on a payment plan afford to do it, that you shouldn't try, right?
Right.
But you don't want to market it in a way where it's like you're downplaying the value of an actual larger course, you
Yeah.
know? And,
Fine
I
line.
made a vow to myself that I will never buy anything that's $500 or more, even if the hype is great and it's really good. I won't because of my branding. And it's not me downplaying it like, oh, you should never do that because it can be helpful. But I stick to, like, for example, the collective code is something I'm going through right now. USC, those are two $300 tickets, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I started my business with under $100. But if somebody wants to go and buy Collective Code or USC, for example, I have to market that message in a way where they would still benefit from something more expensive, just not, do you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there is a twist to it.
Yeah.
Um, and I get kind of where people are coming from that are like, well, you need this expensive course because it will guide you easier than doing it on your own because it was hard. It
Hmm.
was hard to be kind of
Yeah.
self-taught and learn lessons without a guided way that a course could give you. It was harder. Um,
So what are
if
some
I
of
had something, sorry, I was just going to say, if I had something like the Collective Code or USC when I started, it would have been probably a lot easier, but that wasn't the journey I was meant to take. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's part of your story is that
right.
you started. So can you tell me a little bit more about like the struggles that you had when learning on your own and trying like were you trying to piece things all together or was there somebody
Man,
you went to specifically to
I'll tell
learn?
you what, we'll get a little bit personal here, but when I started, so I started learning in like mid-April of last year. I launched my platforms at the very end of April. It was like the last week of April. My first full month was May, and that's when I was on Instagram and TikTok. Saw
Mhm.
some traction, but just it wasn't me. Me and Instagram, like I'm trying again on Instagram right now, but me and Instagram, we
Still.
are just not besties.
Yeah, same.
And I'm down pat with Facebook where I want to start getting on other platforms and expand my reach. But me and IG, we're just
I get
I
it.
don't know what it is. But anyway, um, the first month of my business, I don't want to necessarily talk about income specifically. I made money, but it wasn't enough money to like cover all my bills. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was seeing growth, I was seeing progress. It wasn't where I wanted to be, but I was still proud of myself because it was my first month, right? And some
Yeah.
people take months to
Yeah.
make money, and that's okay. But that first month, the mindset aspect was huge. I had to show up and put more hours in and get past the burnout and get past I'm not seeing the results that I need to do this full time, but I have to keep going.
Yeah.
And I'm so, so big on mindset and motivation within yourself that you have to wake up in the morning and say, this is what I'm going to do today. And you have to operate in your business and your branding as if you already have the desired outcome that you're wanting. Like you really, truly have to believe my business will be successful. I will have a very big, recognizable brand. I'm speaking to thousands of people, only if there's 5 people on your live or whatever.
Mhm.
You have to operate with that mindset every day. And sometimes it'll be better, sometimes you won't feel it as much. But the importance of doing that is so huge. And if I didn't wake up and kind of be a little bit delusional in my mindset, I wouldn't have pushed through. Um, but that's I don't know. I don't know how else to elaborate on that one. My first month that I started my business, I had 2 cars. One of my cars got repossessed.
Oh my goodness.
And so this is just an example of the mindset. I could have at that point said, well, this clearly isn't working. My car's gone. Why does my life suck? Why does this always happen to me? Da 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 da. But I kept going anyways. Like, okay, I can't change it. I have to let that go. I have to
Mhm.
keep pushing. If anything, I have to work harder and not be in a place of victim and
Yeah.
stay stuck in that. And I firmly believe that me working on my mindset and doing that has pushed me to where I am now.
Yeah. I did not realize how important mindset was for so long.
Yeah,
And
same.
I feel like that definitely has held me back in not only this business, but other businesses that I had because I just wasn't there and believing in myself until
Mhm.
about a few months ago. And that's when literally everything changed overnight. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love you're
Yeah.
really big about working smarter, not harder. Can you talk to us about the checklist that you have?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I feel like one thing, especially like my mentees, they know that I'm super big into organization. And part of that is just who I am. I've been through a lot of really hard things in my life, and I feel like it's almost like a trauma response
Yeah.
that I just have to have as much planned as I can.
Mhm.
Um, that's definitely one of the biggest lessons I've learned throughout this journey as well. And I didn't learn because you can hear somebody say be intentional, right? And you're like, I know that's important, but how do you do that? Like
Yeah.
actionable steps. How do you actually, what does it mean to actually be intentional with a business? And
Right.
it's really is the difference between getting up in the morning. I go into Facebook and I'm just kind of casually doing things I feel like I should be doing throughout the day. Like I'll check my messages and then scroll for 20 minutes and engage on what I see that I like, and then I'll maybe post something I have an idea for. Like you're casually kind of spontaneously doing things versus you wake up and you have a checklist, which I'll kind of explain that. And the checklist keeps you intentional. So if you need to do engagement every day, instead of trusting and believing that you engaged enough as you scroll throughout the day and commented on, I don't know, 5, 7 posts, when you do your engagement, you are sitting for anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, whatever that looks like for you, what's doable for you. And that's all you're doing in that time. You're not responding to any messages. You're not going to make a post or working on a project. Like you are being intentional with what you're doing in that set time. And I've tracked this with analytics.
Mm.
When I do that with my engagement versus just kind of casually engaging throughout the day, my numbers are so much higher when I'm intentional. Your reach
Mm.
it goes up. So my list, I have like several lists. Okay, we'll be real about that. I have a lot of lists that not
Mhm.
everybody needs, but I wake up and I have a list of non-negotiable things I have to do for my business every day. These are things that don't change. So the list is a lot bigger now that I have like 12 business groups, but for me, just some basics are just I do a value post. I do a promo post, which will emphasize you should not be selling when you're getting started immediately, right?
Mhm.
Um, I have my time, I do my engagement. I go through and check my messages and check in with my mentees. So just like basic things that you have to get done every day. They are not negotiable and they're things that don't change. Because for a lot of people, a to-do list, I feel like is, okay, what ideas do I have of things I want to get done? Those things
Right.
go on what I call a project list. Okay, so if I need to make a change in my store, if I need to get an outline done for a project I'm collaborating on, things that are important, but they vary. Those go on a project list, and you only get to your project list when you're done with your daily non-negotiable list. And
Mm.
doing this has like it just changed everything for me because you're not spontaneously doing things and hoping for the best. You're being
Yeah.
intentional. You know where your time is going, and it's going to quality groups and it's going towards your people, and it does nothing but positive things.
Yep.
Mm.
It makes
I
life so much easier.
I have a question for
Yeah.
somebody starting off, and I know I get this a lot, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it. But how does one come up with a value and educational post when they're first starting off?
Yes, that's a huge thing. I feel like that kind of ties into like imposter syndrome
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mhm.
and then that also ties into people that think that this is saturated. And I'm so big on that because it's just not.
Yeah.
Like, there's billions of people on this planet, and social media is huge technology. Everybody has an account for everything, like
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But one thing that I like to remind people is that out of like everybody that is trying to do things in the digital product space or have a group or monetize social media, most of them, over half of them, are not going to stick with it. They're not being taught correctly, or they just are those people that want it. They want to do it the quick way, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get burnt out and they're going to quit when they see that it's not easy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for that reason alone, it's not saturated because most of the people you see doing it where it looks crowded, those people are not going to be here in 2 to 3 months.
Right.
Mhm.
So but with like the imposter syndrome and just knowing how do I get people to care about what I'm saying, basically, like, first of all, you've got to work on the branding outside of the visuals, like your branding behavior and who you want to be. I'm really big into people trying to personalize their branding as much as they can. Like, you are the brand in a sense, and there
Yeah.
should be some business in it, right?
Yep.
But you have to get personal. And this is not me saying share all the personal stuff in your life because not everybody wants to do that.
Mhm.
But you have to really get open and vulnerable about your life and what led you to wanting to do this in the first place.
Mm.
And that is what's going to put warmth into your brand and make people want to listen to you. So for me, I tell people when you're getting started, one of the easiest things you can do is just quite literally talk about what you're learning.
Yeah.
What are you learning? What are you surprised by with it? How are you implementing it? Is it working for you? Maybe you
Mhm.
learned something, tried it, and it wasn't for you, and just really share your
Yeah.
open journey because people would rather see someone go through an authentic journey than see cookie cutter, carousels and
Yes.
things that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to be more of a person sharing something with your friend than a business, even though you are a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing is just to actually really share some things about your life and throw some personal things in there as well. Like, what are you watching on Netflix? What
Yeah.
funny, weird thing did your kids say to you this morning? Like,
Mhm.
to show them, like, hey, I do have things I sell and offer, but also I'm a human. And
Yeah.
that shows relatability and, like, oh, I can do this too. Like, that's so important. So, post about what you're learning and post about your life, like things you're comfortable with. Like, you don't have to overshare, but that's my advice.
Yeah, making it personal because and you're right, going back to, they don't want to see these cookie cutter posts. They want to see the real life. They want to see the journey. They want to know, like, as a mom, right? Like they can relate to
Hmm.
you that you're doing it still, even though you have kids, all that stuff. So that's great
Yeah.
advice. Well, I'd love to hear. I know you've created a lot of products yourself now. So I'd
Yes.
love to hear about some of your products that you've created.
Yeah. So right now, probably one of my proudest things that I made is it's a video course that is all about Facebook groups. And it's really for people who want to make their own community and find ways to monetize it. So people that are in Facebook and kind of learning and getting their groove with like being in other groups and engaging and posting. And one of the big things too is people are like, well, how can I make and monetize a group that is not business related? Like, I don't want to sell a course or I don't want to teach people how to market, which is fine. And I think there's that common myth, like you're only going to be successful if you sell courses or if
Yeah.
you teach people how to market. And maybe you're not a business person that gets enjoyment out of that. Like the
Hmm.
group goals program is really to teach anybody in any niche how they can create a Facebook group, have it be about something they like and they're passionate about, how to manage it, how to grow it, and how to monetize it. So I've been making other like niche groups. Um, and using Amazon affiliate links and plugging
Yes.
those in
Yeah.
to the group
Mhm.
to earn. And I have a group that's about like mental health. I have a group about arts. Like literally it can be anything. And the program, it's just broken up into different modules step by step on how you can do that yourself. Um,
I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love it. It's my first video course that I built inside of Stan Store and I love it. It's beautiful. So
Yes. Yes. I've
um
been through some of it. Yes.
yeah,
It
I
is.
love it a lot. And
Yeah.
I love doing video stuff because I like to talk if you guys couldn't tell. So
Same. I am all about popping on a Loom and doing a video versus.
I was so floored when I found Loom and I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, I can
Yeah.
do something that looks aesthetic and show my face and show the screen. Like I was like,
Yeah.
where has this been?
Yeah. It's super
It's so
cool.
funny that you mentioned that course. I bought it and had done nothing with it.
Yeah.
I'm like looking in my email, like, I think I
Yeah.
bought
I
that.
got it too. Yeah. I started going through it when I wasn't feeling well on the couch one day, and then I
Oh my
started to go back
gosh.
to it. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh,
Shame, Kristen.
I know. Shame on me because
Yeah.
what I'm about to ask, you're probably going to tell me is in the course, but our audience may not have it. But how does one that, because I am in all the groups that you create because you are amazing and I got
Oh,
the
thanks.
Mhm.
Hmm.
what is a best practice for someone that's new at this that has bought the promo where you can do in all
Like
10 groups?
advertise. Yeah.
How do you successfully do you think let me get my things together. Do you
You're
think that
good.
someone can successfully promo in all the groups each day, or what do you suggest?
Well, the other part of that is Facebook can be very finicky with spam. Like the worst thing that can happen if you're purely focused on marketing on Facebook is for you to get blocked from being able to comment
Mhm.
or if you get blocked from being able to post in groups. So one of the very first things I learned is that when you're in multiple groups, I'm in and out of probably 40 to 50 groups a day. This doesn't mean I post in all of them every
Hmm.
single day. You don't have to be like a total psychopath. Like, pick your 5 to 10 groups that you love. Like, a lot of groups I'm in purely just because they have posts that I can engage with. And it's more about the engagement. You don't have to post
Yeah.
everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
But you have to be careful. So like part of my daily routine is to post a value post, but I'm also trying to do promotional posts, whether it's a freebie, paid product, whatever. But as you're going, and it takes more time in the beginning because you don't have as much content that you've put out there. But as you are writing your post or posting your videos and you see the ones that get good engagement, they get a lot of likes or they get a lot of comments, you want to be saving and putting those posts somewhere. Like you're kind of creating your own content vault that you can repurpose and reuse. And
Oh,
so this means that I don't have to wake up in the morning and think of something to post about every single day because nobody, no matter how much you know or how good you are at it, nobody wants to do that. That gets exhausting.
yeah.
So
So
I'm
do
at
you
a point now, sorry, I'm at a point now where I use Notion and then I also use Google Keep, which is like a post-it app notes uh, app. And I have two sections where one has my sales post and one has my value post or motivational post. And I rotate them. So if I'm going and I want to post in 10 groups that day, I will go and post a different post in each one. I feel like I'm making this sound
Okay.
way more complicated than it really is because it's not
No.
complicated.
So do you ever use ChatGPT then? Do you throw those posts to the ChatGPT and say, hey, can you reword this so it doesn't sound, so it's not
Yes.
exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is a really good tip for beginners as well. So like when you don't have completely different written out posts. If you posted like 3 tips on how to grow your group and that posted really well, just copy and paste and throw that in ChatGPT. And it's funny, I actually posted something from Pinterest on that today, but go to ChatGPT and say, hey, this did really well on whatever platform you posted it on. Can you come up with 20 different varying posts that are similar?
Wow.
And that can give you different content ideas as well. And then boom, like you can schedule those out even and you're good to go. Now, the only thing that kind of sucks, which I doubt this will ever be a thing, is just not being able to schedule post in other groups because obviously it's not your
Yeah.
group. So
Yeah.
you do need to manually do that. But if you get to a point where you have several groups where you're promoting and sharing value, you can schedule those out for a whole month and not have to touch anything. You just have
Yeah.
to engage.
Yep. Yeah. I've been doing that a good
Excuse
bit.
me. Yeah.
Some of my groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I went on a tangent there, but you were asking like for people that are
No,
newer,
you
like,
actually answered
Yeah.
exactly. You
okay,
actually
cool.
answered what I was asking. Maybe I asked it in the wrong way, but you answered exactly what I was looking
Oh,
for.
good. Cool.
Yeah.
So what is coming up for you now in the future? Are you working on
Oh
anything
my gosh.
new? Like what is going
Yeah.
on with you now?
This year has been crazy. Like I always try to have that positive mindset and I tell myself, those things I tell you I practice with mindset, but like this past like month and a half, like the opportunities and the people that are wanting to like feature me for things, like shout out to you guys, but
Mhm.
like I had a meeting last night. I am in the works. I can't release a lot of information about it, but I'm in the works of working on a pretty big project that is set to maybe launch around April with several creators. And that is something that's exciting. I can't say a whole lot about it, but the other part is um I am kind of in the middle of rebranding my mentorship group. So it's going to be called the Marketing Made Simple membership.
Mhm.
It is an existing paid community. I've got about 200 people in there, and it's basically like one spot for anybody who wants to learn from me and get support and guidance from me. It's one spot with all my tips and tricks. There are educational videos in there. There's a freebie bowl, a lot of my free products, and the people in there are really amazing. Like we kind of all feed off of each other as well, but there's just so much information and knowledge in that group. And
Mhm.
that's getting like a whole revamp right now. So that's kind of what I'm working on.
I love that. I love that. And I love, so you're going to be
Thanks.
at a monthly membership now?
Yes, yep. So for a
Okay.
long time we had you could be in it for a monthly cost or you could do like a one-time payment to get in for life. And we're actually going to go ahead and get rid of the lifetime option. So it's only going to be monthly. But right now there are some spots for the lifetime. I don't know if they'll still be there when this launches, but it's that way it can be affordable too, because a lot of people
Yeah.
don't want to pay a big price and they want to see if they're going to like what's in there. And
Yeah.
it's really kind of an affordable thing for everybody. So
I love that. That's great.
yeah.
So for someone that is listening and they are toying with the idea of trying to, break into the make money online space, what is your best advice for someone listening?
I have so much advice. Let me try to keep it simple. Lurk around for a bit before you make any moves.
Mhm.
Lurk around and, read comments, read posts of other people that maybe are hesitant like you are, and just read, be observant, see who you see popping up in groups and who you feel like you can trust, and have some conversations without pressuring yourself to buy anything from anybody.
Mhm.
Um, Always trust your gut. If you're speaking to somebody, and it doesn't mean that they're a bad person, if they're trying to sell you, but if your gut is telling you this is not a connection for me, trust that. And that really helps you find your circle and your people. And just take your time in the beginning. One of my biggest things is this is not a space for people who are like, I need to make $3,000 in a week. Like,
Mm,
this is
Yeah.
something for people that really just want to change, like, and have a quality in their life and build something with longevity.
Yeah.
And it's not that it takes a long time, but it is a process. It's
Mhm.
not a get rich quick at all. It can make you very, very successful, but the work is entailed. And the biggest thing I feel like I see people do in the beginning is they are trying to do all the steps at one time. The best thing
mhm,
that you can do for yourself is to move slower, slow down,
Mhm.
and do things one, maybe two steps at a time. So
mm,
don't learn and try to set up your store and sell and do all this stuff at one time. Be intentional, go one step at a time, and do what works for you more than what anyone else teaches you to do. So, for me, when I decided to go on Facebook at the time, everybody was on, to me, is what it felt like. There are people obviously marketing on Facebook, but what it felt like to me was that most people were on TikTok and Instagram. So for me, it felt wrong to focus on Facebook because that's not mainly where people were. But making that decision was the best thing I could have ever done for my business.
mm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Not every
yeah.
platform is made for everyone. I think you have to pick which one works best for you, and it's different for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a golden point. There are so many people daily that I will see posting, where's the best place to market?
Yeah.
Mm,
There is no universal answer. Like, the
Yeah.
best place to market is where you feel most comfortable and you see your best results.
Right.
And that
mm,
can take some time to figure that out.
Yeah.
The only other thing I think for people that are starting out is just to understand that there is no code to crack with business or social media. There is no code to crack, and people will try to sell that to you all day long.
Mhm.
There is no, you wake up and it clicks and you figure it out, and then you have hundreds of dollars coming in every single day, every day.
Yeah.
Even people that you see who have success,
Mhm.
they have good periods and low periods. And what balances that out is consistency. Like,
mhm.
how you get up on your slowest day with the least amount of sales, what you decide to do on that day for your business and your brand is what will make or break your business,
Yeah.
hands down.
That's a very, very good point to make. And a lot
Yeah.
of times we don't see those lows that the people have too. So it's
Yes.
hard to really sift through the noise when you're seeing that
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be very discouraging, especially to people who haven't made, sales, or,
Mhm.
they're working to their first 100 followers and they see these people, especially with the income claims and,
Mhm.
oh, I reached 10,000 people on this page, which is great. And we should celebrate those wins because they
Mhm.
matter. But just the emphasis on newer people, that the small wins do matter.
Yeah.
And you absolutely should share that you got your first 10 followers, because people who haven't started yet because they're afraid, they're
Yeah.
going to relate more to that small win than somebody
Yeah.
saying that they had a $10,000 month.
Yes.
You're going to be more trustworthy
Absolutely.
to them than the bigger people at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought that up because I know you lead all your business pages and your business with the utmost integrity. And when it comes to income claims, can you just touch real quickly, like
Hmm.
what is your perception of the individuals that that's their strategy to gain sales?
Yeah, so okay, when I first started learning and I was in groups, even on Facebook, income claims were huge, and they really didn't start cracking down on that until probably like the end of last summer, I feel like is when it was. I used to do income claims, and even when I did income claims, it wasn't, I didn't do it in a way of like, you guys can do this too. I was always transparent even then, like, hey, this is what I made in 7 days, but this is not me guaranteeing this for anyone. I still put in emphasis that these were my results and whatever. But I try to give people some grace, and you have to kind of let go of some judgment in this space because you're going to see so many different types of things. And
Mhm.
again, it goes back to mindset, right? Your perception on everything and how it focuses everything, even subconsciously. If I'm going through, let's say, threads, and just see so many income claims, I can sit there and feel kind of judgy, like, man, they're doing it all wrong. They're like negative thoughts. But what I really try to remember is we don't know how they were taught. Like, we don't know who sold them. We don't know what program they went through where somebody said this is the only way you can be successful. They're people, they really just might not know better. And of course, there are people that know better and will not do better, but we don't know that. So
Yeah.
all we can really do is try to stay in our own lane
Yeah.
and share our value, share our thoughts on it in a non-negative way, because you have to remember everything you're putting out there is going to be your perception of your brand,
Mm-hmm.
and keep things moving and try to put it in a like be a positive shift with the income claim stuff, because it's not even like, oh, we shouldn't do that. It's a, it's an FTC thing. It's a compliance, is this
Right.
legal type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just got a phone call. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So, do you think that a disclaimer protects? Does that protect somebody when they like when you, because I think a lot of people and myself are kind of confused sometimes.
Hmm.
You can say this is, just like you're saying on threads, there's a lot of screenshots. This is
Yeah,
what I've made. I hit this milestone, and I want to cheer all of them on because I do think that it does show that it is possible or what
right.
could be possible. But does an income claim protect somebody? Or sorry, a disclaimer to the income.
Yeah.
Does that protect you from the FTC?
Not really.
Mm.
Um, the thing is, and what I learned, so, and if anybody listening to this has DBA, I think it's in volume 1. They have a whole module on FTC compliance. It's taught by Jessica Lee. She's the creator, one of the
Oh,
creators of the Collective Code. She is an
yeah.
amazing person to learn from. She breaks stuff down so well in that module about the FTC and what you can and can't do, but in a non very boring fall asleep type of way. So an income claim, and I feel like the income claim stuff came up because really the issue was a lot of large Facebook groups that helped a lot of people with sales and leads, they were getting shut down because
Mm,
of the income claims. So people were focused on not doing income claims because they didn't want to get flagged on social media. It wasn't so much about them being concerned about the legalities of it or that people even knew the legalities of it. It was more of, I don't want to get flagged on social media. I
mm,
don't want my post removed. I don't want this group getting shut down. And then it became a bigger deal, and the group leaders had to be like, well, this is why Facebook is taking so much action against it, because it's an FTC thing. It's not compliant. So you can have a disclaimer, but the thing is that when you make a claim, and it's so much about the wording, which is really annoying, but it's just part of our due diligence, to really just research this stuff. But you have to, everything with the FTC is like, you have to have it documented. So like, if you're claiming, I made X amount selling this product in 7 days. Like, you have to have documentation to really thoroughly prove that. You do have to have a disclaimer saying like, these are your results. You can't guarantee them for anybody else, but there has to have very specific verbiage. And they talk about that a lot in the module in DBA in volume 1. But there's a there's a lot of stuff. You have to be careful with testimonials that you use.
mm.
Um, and then what I've been learning a lot about recently is net impression. So
Mhm.
people that sell with like benefits and desire and the outcome of a product, you have to be careful on how what you're wording can be perceived by the customer, because if you're doing everything in a way where it's like, I did it, you can do it too.
Mhm.
That can be net impression. And I'm still kind of learning about that one fully. I can't say I have
Mhm.
all the knowledge on that one, but it is important. And I think the biggest thing is like people think, oh, it's only like large accounts and big businesses that they go after, and that's not true. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
had never heard of the word net impression until
Yeah.
our message thread for the moderators. I was like, what is this?
yeah,
Yeah,
me
I
neither. It
didn't
makes
either.
sense.
The first time that I saw net impression, I literally had no idea. We all knew about the income claim stuff because it was like everywhere in Facebook groups, and they were like, we can't do this, and it was all over social media. But net impression, I didn't hear about that until I went through Jessica's module about the FTC.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm
Um,
gonna go through that.
so
Yeah, me
yeah,
too.
it's really good. And she teaches about it in the collective code as well. But even if you go to YouTube and you just type in like uh common FTC guidelines or something like that, you can find some bite-sized videos on YouTube that explain it very well. I even
Mm,
have them in my groups, like with my rules that are posted, there's a YouTube
Mm.
link and you can find stuff pretty easily for that, and they're explained very well.
Good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if
The
somebody
non-fun.
wants to work with you, where can they find you?
I am on Facebook. Um, one second, I have somebody knocking on my door.
That's okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, well, while she's grabbing the door, you know that we will put a link to how you can get in touch with Amanda as well. And then she'll tell us when she comes back.
Yes, this has been great. Yeah, this is it is so super important, and it's good to hear other people talk about the FTC laws too. I'll have to go back into DBA and listen to some of that
Yes.
because I definitely need to brush up on the actual laws and regulations. So,
I
uh,
think
I'm
it's
here,
also
guys. I'm
it's
sorry.
amazing how she shared her journey and just knowing that, right, you buy from who you resonate with,
mhm,
right? People don't they buy a transformation, they don't necessarily, buy the course. They buy the course or the product from the person that they
right.
relate to. And I think that that's another Amanda touched on, trust your gut. And
Mhm,
if you see somebody that's, very successful, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to buy from them. You want to
yes.
buy from someone that you trust. And that can take some time to get to know, right? And I just really appreciate her openness and sharing with our audience, uh, you know, where she came, like how she got started.
Yes, without a course and still is
Yeah.
very successful. Yeah,
I am here,
that's
guys, by
great.
the way. I'm sorry.
Oh,
My
you're
cat
totally
No
tried to
fine.
run
worries
out the
at
door.
all. So they can find you on Facebook, and we will put a link below on if they want to work with you. Um,
Yes, I wish that Facebook had like easy handle names. I was trying to see if I could change something in that to make it easier for people, but I usually just share the Facebook link. I am on Instagram as well as Threads. I'm getting pretty obsessed with Threads, and
I
my
love
name on
that.
that is Official Marketing with Mandy is my tag on
Mm,
that.
Love that.
And I have a YouTube channel that is titled Marketing with Mandy. So those are my main places that I'm at.
perfect.
Perfect. Well, great. Well, we appreciate you so much for coming on to the podcast. It has been a pleasure
Absolutely.
talking to you, hearing your story. I love seeing your success and cheering you on. So I'm very excited to see the things that are coming for you in the future.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys so much.
you are definitely an industry leader that can be trusted,
Yeah, for sure.
and I think that that's really important to surround yourself with others, that can be trusted because there's a lot of unfortunately people that can't. So if you're
Yeah.
listening, we endorse, like give the stamp of
Yes,
approval.
we endorse her.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
But no, I mean, I feel the same way about you guys. I've seen you consistently around, and it's an honor to be on this. And yeah, if anybody needs anything or has questions, even these two ladies here, they're great people to go to. And again, I had a blast doing this. This was fun. So thank you.
Yes, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And we'll see you guys next time.